Hello, AP Computer Science principals, students. It's now time to look at question 2B, right? As a reminder, you will get a point or not for each section of 2. We've already had a video about 1, about 2A, and now we're looking at 2B. The focus is on clarity, proving you understand your code, and I love just kind of restating the question. That is my preference. So let's look at this first one. Consider the code segment in part 2 of the list section of your PPR. So you'll have to look at part 2 of the list section. I put up here in example 1. Suppose another programmer modifies this code segment. Describe a modification the other programmer could make in this code segment that would result in a logic error. A modification another programmer could make to my code that would result in a logic error is, like, just to make sure my styling stays, okay? So let's talk about logic errors, okay? I pulled up here because this actually got me when I was first looking at it. Syntax errors are different than logic errors. I saw this question and I thought, oh yeah, if they leave out this semicolon or this curly brace or this semicolon, and those are all syntax errors. So syntax errors occur when the written code does not match the rules of the programming language. Something is spelled wrong, capitalized wrong, a symbol is missing. No, logic errors occur when the program does not perform as expected. Okay, so we've got, we're looking through the list 1, so you can see that we iterate through a list here. I'm going to start listing possible logic errors so you know examples, right? You only need 1. So I'm going to say, well, if the loop began at var I equals 1, right? This means we would ignore the first element in the loop. So that isn't a logic error. We could have the loop end condition changes to I less than or equal to serial name dot length would loop 1 too many times. Other errors, right? And we can just keep going through. Instead of I plus plus, the loop iteration is set to I plus equals 2. This would skip every other element as we traverse the list serial name. We've also got this logic of equal to. What if we, the selection changed to serial name at I not equal to search serial? It's a logic error where the program would return an image that does not match the serial name. Okay, so we've listed several. I wanted to give you lots of examples of logic errors. Again, they are not syntax. You're not dropping a symbol, mismatching. Your program runs, but it doesn't run as expected. Okay, so those are all logic errors. Explain why this modification would result in an error. And that's what I kind of did in parentheses here. You would pick one of these and then finish this thought. This modification would result in an error, in a, let's be specific, logic error because, and then you would go on to explain. Okay, so I've given you several options there for version A. Sorry, for version 1, right? There's 2 versions of this question. The second one you'll see Students in 2025 got a nearly identical one about consider the procedure included in Part I of the procedure section of your PPR. Now, this could also have been used for the procedure section. It includes lists and the procedure. So I'm using the same code in our example. Suppose another programmer modifies the code with this procedure. Describe a modification the other programmer could make that would cause the procedure to have a logic error. Describe how the behavior of this procedure would change because of the error. Okay, and so this is nearly identical, right? A modification. Here are ones that could result in a logic error to our procedure. And then I would say how the behavior of the procedure would change. And we're going to describe how. So I'm going to choose this first one. If we said that the loop began at 1 instead of 0, the behavior would change. It would not return an image for the first element of the, what's it looking through? So serial name is the name, okay? It would not return an image for the first, if the first element of the list serial name was the value of the parameter, the name of the parameter here, search serial. The behavior would change. All right, so I'm describing how it would change and what would be different. And so just like any of these, there isn't an exact phrasing you need to answer all parts of this. And there's, right, a variety of logic errors you could describe, and then you say, what does that logic error, how does it impact the code?